All right, let's be real. You've probably ruined a first impression before. Yep, I said it. Maybe you didn't mean to. Maybe you thought you were killing it. But guess what? You weren't. You were that person. The one with the awkward laugh, the over-the-top story, or, let's not forget, the I'm too cool to care attitude. But hey, you're not alone. We've all done it. First impressions are like pop quizzes. No one tells you when they're happening, but they count for everything. Today, I'm breaking down common mistakes that silently scream, "Run for the hills." Some will surprise you, some will offend you, but all of them brutally honest. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll either feel called out or finally know why people don't text back after meeting you. Let's get into it. 1. Overdoing the "hey, I'm the best" routine. Ah yes, the "I'm the main character" energy. You know the type. Walking into a room like they're auditioning for the role of God's gift to humanity. Loud voice? Check. Overconfident handshake that feels like they're trying to crush your bones? Check. A monologue about how they once closed $1 million deal, ran a marathon, and rescued a puppy, all in the same weekend? Triple check. Here's the controversial part. This kind of energy doesn't scream confidence, it screams insecurity dressed in Gucci. Yeah, I said it. Real confidence doesn't need a spotlight, because it is the spotlight. It doesn't need to tell you, "I'm important," because you feel it without a single word. The problem with people who overdo the "I'm the best" routine is that they think success is contagious. Like, if they just flex hard enough, people will catch it like the flu and be instantly impressed. Spoiler alert, it's exhausting, not impressive. I remember meeting this guy at a networking event. Let's call him Chad, because of course. Chad had an introduction that lasted longer than some marriages. In the first 5 minutes, I knew his job title, his salary range, which, weird flex but okay, how many followers he had on Instagram, and how he's basically a thought leader. He didn't ask me a single question, not even a "hey, what's your name?" By the end of the conversation, I wasn't thinking, "Wow, what an accomplished guy." I was thinking, I hope he trips on his way out. Not because I'm petty, okay, maybe slightly petty, but because people who lead with ego usually have nothing else to offer. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. You don't have to be the best to be memorable. You just have to be real. Vulnerability connects more than victory laps ever will. When you strip away the need to impress, you give people permission to meet the real you, not the LinkedIn version of you. And guess what? That's who they'll actually like. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers the loudest person in the room. They remember the one who made them feel seen. 2. Not listening, the me syndrome. Let's get one thing straight. Most people aren't having conversations. They're waiting for their turn to talk. Yep, I said it. We live in a world where people treat conversations like competitive sports. It's not about connection. It's about, how can I subtly outshine you without making it obvious I'm trying? Ever met someone like that? You're sharing a story about your trip to Japan, and before you can even finish describing the cherry blossoms, they jump in with, "Oh yeah, I've been to Japan too. Actually, I traveled all over Asia. Thailand was better. I had this crazy experience in Bangkok." Suddenly, it's no longer your story. It's their stage. You've been demoted from main character to audience member in your own conversation. Congratulations. People who don't listen aren't just bad at conversations, they're emotionally lazy. Yeah, I said it. It takes zero effort to talk about yourself. It takes real maturity and presence to genuinely engage with what someone else is saying. But most people don't want to do that because it requires something they're not ready to give. Attention without agenda. I'll never forget this networking event I went to. I met a woman, let's call her Lisa because why not? Within 5 minutes, Lisa managed to tell me her entire career trajectory, why she thrives in fast-paced environments, eye roll, and how she's super passionate about leadership, which is corporate speak for I like being in charge. You know how many questions she asked me? 0. Not even the courtesy, so what do you do? She didn't care. She was too busy auditioning for a role I wasn't casting. At one point I decided to run a little experiment. I nodded silently, didn't interrupt, and just let her talk. She went on for 15 straight minutes without noticing I hadn't said a word. 15. When she finally paused to sip her drink, she said, "Wow, I feel like we really connected." I nearly choked. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't actually want to connect. They just want to be validated. They're not listening to understand, they're listening to respond. But here's the secret. The best way to be interesting is to be interested. Real connection isn't built on impressive stories or clever one-liners. It's built on presence. The kind where someone feels like they're the only person in the room because you're actually there with them, not just physically, but mentally. Listening is more than a passive act. It's an active choice to put your ego aside and say, your story matters as much as mine. And ironically, when you make people feel heard, they'll remember you as the most interesting person they met, even if you barely said a word. So next time you're in a conversation, ask yourself, am I really listening, or am I just waiting for my turn to talk? Because trust me, people can tell the difference. 3. Forgetting names. Let's get real. Forgetting someone's name right after they've told you isn't just an oops moment. It's basically telling them, hey, nice to meet you, but you didn't make the cut. Brutal, maybe, but true. And before you say, but I'm just bad with names, nope. That's the lie we tell ourselves to avoid admitting the uncomfortable truth. Forgetting names isn't a memory problem. It's an ego problem. Yeah, I said it. Your brain works just fine when it wants to. You remember your favorite song lyrics from 2012, your ex's Netflix password, and the entire plot of a show you watched once. But when it comes to a name, poof, gone, like your motivation after January 1st. Why? Because you weren't paying attention. When someone introduces themselves, most of us aren't truly listening. We're too busy thinking, what should I say next to sound interesting? Is there something in my teeth? Do I look confident enough? You're in your own head, running a mental slideshow of you, while their name floats by like background noise. It's not that you didn't hear them, it's that you didn't prioritize it. And that's where the problem starts. I once met this guy at a networking event. Let's call him Tom, because, well, that's actually his name. We had a decent conversation, small talk, a few jokes, the usual. I thought I was nailing the whole friendly yet professional vibe. Fast forward 20 minutes, I run into him again. And what do I say? Hey, man. Yeah. Man. The universal placeholder when your brain hits the panic button. The second it came out, I knew I'd messed up. His smile faltered just enough to sting. There was this awkward pause, that moment when both of us silently acknowledged, you totally forgot my name, didn't you? The kicker? He remembered mine. I felt like a total jerk, not because I'm a bad person, but because I realized I hadn't really seen him in that first conversation. I was so focused on sounding clever that I treated his name like background info instead of the headline. Here's the thing. A name isn't just a label. It's someone's identity wrapped in one word. When you remember it, you're saying, I valued you enough to hold on to this piece of you. When you forget, well, you're saying the opposite. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. When someone says their name, stop thinking about your next sentence. Look at them. Actually see them. Connect their name to something, a mental image, a rhyme, whatever works. For example, Tom, like Tom Cruise, but without the Scientology. Boom. Locked in. If you forget, own it. Don't play the awkward guessing game. Just say, "I'm sorry, I got distracted when we first met. Could you remind me of your name?" That honesty feels way better than pretending you knew it all along. People don't remember you for how witty you were or how cool you seemed. They remember how you made them feel, and nothing feels better than simply being remembered. Four, negative body language. All right, let's dive into one of the sneakiest ways people ruin first impressions without even realizing it. Negative body language. Now, I get it. Most people think first impressions are all about what you say. They rehearse their lines, practice small talk, maybe even throw in a joke they hope lands. But here's the harsh reality. Your body has already started the conversation before your mouth even opens. And sometimes it's saying, "I'd rather be anywhere but here." Here's where it gets spicy. Negative body language isn't just a social faux pas. It's low-key disrespectful. Yeah, I said it. Because whether you mean to or not, slouching, avoiding eye contact, crossing your arms, or looking like you're mentally on a beach somewhere is basically signaling, "I don't care enough to show up fully." And before you start with, "But that's just how I stand, sit, look." Nah. Your body language isn't an accident. It's a reflection of what's going on inside. If you're closed off physically, chances are you're closed off mentally too. Spotting negative body language, aka the anti-charisma checklist. Crossed arms. It's the universal sign for, "I'm not open to this conversation." Might as well hold up a literal stop sign. Poor eye contact. Either you're not interested, hiding something, or desperately looking for an escape route. None of these scream engaging person, slouching or leaning away. This says, "I'm bored," or worse, "You're not worth my full attention." Fidgeting. Are you nervous, uninterested, or plotting your exit strategy? Whatever the reason, it's distracting. Checking your phone or watch. You might as well say, "I have better things to do." Personal story time. Let me tell you about the time I completely tanked a first impression, not because I said the wrong thing, but because my body did all the talking. I was meeting a friends group for the first time. I didn't know anyone, and honestly, I was feeling a little out of place. So, what did I do? I crossed my arms, leaned back in my chair, avoided making eye contact, and gave off, "Please don't talk to me" energy without even realizing it. In my head, I thought I was just being chill. But guess what? To everyone else, I looked cold, disinterested, and kind of arrogant. Later, my friend told me one of the people thought I was too cool to engage. Me? Too cool. I was just awkward and uncomfortable. But my body language told a completely different story. Here's the thing. Body language is a universal language, and you're speaking it whether you like it or not. People don't just listen with their ears. They read you. Your posture, your facial expressions, your gestures, they all tell a story. The question is, are you controlling the narrative or letting your insecurities write it for you? But here's the good news. You can change it. Not by faking it, but by being intentional. Uncross your arms. It's literally the first step to being more open. Lean in slightly. It shows interest without saying a word. Make eye contact, not in a staring into your soul way, but enough to say, "Hey, I'm here with you." Relax your face. You're not posing for a passport photo. Smile if you feel like it. Genuine warmth beats forced charm every time. And if you're nervous, own it. Nervous energy isn't the problem. Pretending you're not is. Authenticity beats perfection, always. People don't remember every word you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And sometimes, the loudest thing you say is without words at all. 5. Being late. Let's rip the band-aid off. Being late is not a cute quirk, it's not fashionably cool, and it's definitely not a personality trait. It's the ultimate silent message that says, my time is more valuable than yours. Brutal, yes, but sometimes the truth has to be delivered without a sugarcoating. Here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. Being late, especially repeatedly, is selfish. Oh yeah, I said it. Selfish. I know. You've got excuses lined up like a greatest hits album. Traffic was insane. It always is. I lost track of time. That's called not prioritizing. I was busy. Guess what? So was everyone else. When you're late, what you're really saying is, my time matters. Yours? Not so much. I didn't respect our meeting enough to plan accordingly. I expect you to wait because, well, you will. And here's the kicker. It doesn't even matter if that's not what you meant to say, because action's greater than intentions. Always. Personal story time, aka the time I was a walking red flag. Let me drag myself for a minute. Back in college, I had this habit of showing up late to group projects. I thought, it's fine, I'm charming. They'll get over it. Well, spoiler alert, they didn't. One day, I rolled into a meeting 25 minutes late, iced coffee in hand, acting like I'd just survived a near-death experience battling crazy campus traffic. The group leader, let's call her Sophie because that's her name, didn't even flinch. She just looked at me and said, you know what's crazy? How you think your time is more valuable than ours. Ouch. She read me like an overdue library book, and the worst part, she was right. I had made a habit of assuming people would tolerate it because I'd show up with a smile and an apology, but the damage was already done. My credibility took the hit, not just my punctuality. Here's the thing people don't realize. Being on time isn't about time, it's about trust. It's about showing up when you say you will. It's about keeping your word, even when no one explicitly holds you to it. It's about being someone others can rely on, not just when it's convenient, but always. When you're late, you're not just wasting minutes. You're chipping away at people's respect for you. Because punctuality isn't about being a type A control freak. It's about this simple idea. I respect you enough to not make you wait for me. But what if you're just always late? Good news, you're not cursed. You're just undisciplined. Plan backwards. If you need to be somewhere at 2 p.m., don't leave at 1:55 expecting the universe to clear traffic like you're some VIP. Factor in buffer time. Assume the worst, because the worst is usually just regular life. Delays, red lights, etc. Stop lying to yourself. If you know it takes you 30 minutes to get ready, stop telling yourself you can magically do it in 10. You're not in a time-lapse video. Set reminders. Technology isn't just for scrolling. It can literally save you from your own bad habits. And if you do mess up, own it, not the fake, ha ha, you know me, always late. Nonsense. That's not charming. That's annoying. Try this instead. I'm really sorry. I mismanaged my time and that's on me. Thanks for waiting. No excuses, just accountability. The first impression you make isn't when you arrive. It's when you were supposed to arrive. So the next time you're tempted to be just a few minutes late, ask yourself, is this the version of me I want people to remember? 6. Complaining about everything. Let's talk about the quickest way to suck the life out of a room without even trying. complaining about everything. We've all met that person, the walking storm cloud who could find something wrong with a free vacation. You take them to a beach paradise, and somehow it's, ugh, the sand is too sandy and the ocean is too wet. Like, really? God himself could hand them a sunset, and they'd still ask for a refund. But here's the controversial truth. Complaining doesn't make you relatable. It makes you unbearable. And yes, I said it. Someone had to. There's this weird idea floating around that being critical of everything makes you seem intelligent or deep. Like, if you hate popular things, that somehow elevates your status to intellectual royalty. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. It just makes you that person, the one people avoid because every conversation feels like dragging a boulder uphill. In fact, constant complaining is often just lazy conversation disguised as personality. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Complain about the weather, as if Mother Nature owes you personalized climate control. Complain about your job, but do nothing to change it. Complain about other people, because self-reflection is hard, right? But here's the kicker. Negativity is not a personality trait. It's a habit, and it's one that people get tired of faster than your Wi-Fi dropping during a Zoom call. Personal story time, because I've been that guy too. Confession time. I wasn't always Mr. Enlightened about this. There was a phase, let's call it my mildly pretentious phase, where I thought being critical made me sound sophisticated. I'd go to restaurants and complain about the food like I was some undercover Michelin inspector. The seasoning lacks depth. The plating is uninspired. Brother, it was a burger. Calm down. One day, I was out with a friend. We'll call him Leo, because that's his name. And after my third snarky comment about the restaurant's lack of ambiance, he just looked at me and said, "Dude, are you even capable of enjoying anything, or is complaining your hobby now?" Oof. That hit harder than the overpriced coffee I was criticizing. And you know what? He was right. I wasn't being insightful. I was just insecure. Complaining made me feel in control, like I was above it all. But really, I was just afraid of looking impressed, vulnerable, or, God forbid, genuine. Here's the raw truth. Complaining is often a shield. It protects us from having to be vulnerable. It keeps us from admitting when we're out of our depth. It gives us something to say when we don't know how to connect. But here's the catch. While you're busy protecting yourself with negativity, you're also pushing people away. Because no one wants to be around someone who treats life like a Yelp review. And let's be real, complaining isn't edgy. It's easy. What's actually bold? Finding joy, being excited about simple things, complimenting instead of criticizing, saying, "I love this," without worrying if it's cool enough. How to break the habit. Catch yourself. Every time you're about to complain, pause. Ask, is this helpful, or am I just filling space? Flip the script. Instead of, "Ugh, the traffic is awful," try, "At least I have time to listen to my favorite podcast." Get curious, not critical. If you don't like something, ask why instead of defaulting to negativity. "What do people enjoy about this?" opens up a conversation. "This sucks," shuts it down. Compliment. More. Balance is key. For every complaint, challenge yourself to give 2 genuine compliments. It rewires your brain to seek the positive. And if you absolutely must vent, fine. We're all human. But make sure you're not the person who vents so much that you become the storm. Your words don't just describe your life, they shape it. So the question is, are you building a life you love, or just narrating the parts you hate? One makes people want to stick around. The other, well, it makes them wish there was an unfollow button in real life. Seven, trying too hard to be funny. Ah yes, the class clown syndrome, where someone mistakes trying to be funny for actually being funny. It's like watching someone aggressively shake a vending machine, hoping for snacks to fall out, but all you get is second-hand embarrassment. Let's get controversial. Trying too hard to be funny isn't charming, it's cringy. And before you clutch your pearls, hear me out. There's this myth that being the funny one automatically makes you likable. But here's the thing. Humor is a connection tool, not a personality substitute. If you're cracking jokes every 2 seconds like a human laugh track, people aren't laughing with you. They're laughing at how desperate it feels. And when the jokes don't land, oh boy, it's like throwing confetti into the wind and watching it blow right back into your face. The problem isn't the jokes, it's the vibe. When you're trying to be funny, it comes off as, please like me, look at me. If I keep talking, no one will notice how uncomfortable I am. And nothing kills genuine connection faster than someone treating every conversation like an open mic night. Personal story time, aka my "I'm not as funny as I think" moment. Picture this. I'm at a friend's birthday party. New people, good vibes, casual conversations. Perfect setting for normal human interactions, right? Wrong. Because I decided this was my moment to shine. I launched into joke after joke, sarcasm, bad puns, exaggerated stories. I was basically performing a one-man show nobody bought tickets for. At first, people laughed politely, but as I kept going, you could see the polite chuckles fade into that awkward, please stop smile. Then came the moment of truth. I delivered what I thought was my grand finale joke, and someone, let's call her Rachel, because that's her name, just goes, wow, do you ever, not perform? Oof, that hit harder than my punchline. And here's the kicker. She wasn't being mean. She was being honest. I wasn't connecting. I was compensating. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Funny isn't something you try to be. It's something you allow to happen. When humor is authentic, it flows naturally from the moment. But when you're forcing it, it feels like, well, forced. And people can smell that from a mile away. Trying too hard to be funny is often a mask. It's a way to avoid vulnerability. If people are laughing, they're not judging, right? Wrong. Because people aren't drawn to you because you're funny. They're drawn to you because you're real. The humor is just a bonus. Read the room. Not every situation needs a joke. Sometimes silence is more powerful than a forced punchline. Quality over quantity. One well-timed, genuine joke beats 10 desperate ones. Be okay with pauses. You don't have to fill every gap with humor. Conversations aren't auditions. Laugh at yourself, not just for attention. Self-deprecating humor can be charming, but only if it's authentic, not fishing for pity laughs. Check your intentions. Are you making a joke to connect or to deflect? Big difference. And here's the ultimate truth. People remember how you made them feel, not how many jokes you told. So ask yourself, am I being funny to connect, or am I performing so I don't have to? Because trust me, the best punchline is authenticity. And there you have it. Common mistakes that can ruin first impressions faster than hitting reply all on an office email. But here's the thing. This isn't about being perfect. We've all been the oversharer, the chronic complainer, the awkward jokester. Heck, I've probably been all three before lunch. The real lesson, it's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about noticing them, laughing at yourself, and growing from them. First impressions aren't about flawless performances. They're about showing up as a real, messy, honest human being. Because when you strip away the fake charm, the forced jokes and the overthinking, what's left? You. And that's enough. So the next time you meet someone new, don't stress about being perfect. Focus on being present. Because at the end of the day, it's not the mistake people remember, it's the connection you created. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and drop a comment telling me the most awkward first impression you've ever made. Come on, don't leave me hanging here with my tragic party stories. Until next time, stay real, stay awkward, and remember, life's too short to fake it. See you in the next one.